Hey, what's up, everybody? Real quick here on Bitcoin, we are knee deep in this zone. I actually just went long, so FYI, I went long. That doesn't mean you should go long. This is not financial advice, but I took a stab at it, and I will tell you why. The first reason is because we are knee deep in our zone here, which is right here. We had our zone. And you can see we're like almost breaking below the zone. Like we're right on the edge here. Yes, could it go lower? Absolutely. But that's why I have a stop loss. So, but if we zoom in here to the smaller time frame, let's look at the 30-minute real quick. Actually, no, I was looking at a smaller time frame. So I noticed right here we broke the low, right? And then we started coming back up. It looked to me like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And once we started coming back up, I decided, let me fire a bullet right in there. So, if it just keeps rocking lower and lower and lower, I'll just, I'll get stopped out, but then we'll reevaluate, obviously. But when we zoom back out, we're right in our zone here. But then more importantly here, we really have this move here, boom, 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 is very similar to this, boom, 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 right? So if you have 3 down, right, and 3 up, and then 3 down, then you have potentially a running flat. So WXY. So we have an impulse and a 3-wave pullback. Correction. So in my opinion, we should go up and at least get a retrace. We should get a retrace. Another reason I fired a bullet is because if you look at the length of that wave right there, and you take this and you put it right there, it's just about the same. So I'm going to do that one more time from here. We're going to go down to there. And then I'm going to put that right about there. And you could see waves of equal length. So this wave is the same length as this wave. The difference is this one's a lot more aggressive. And that's usually the case, right? When you have an A, B, C, the C wave is usually the most aggressive. Fast and furious, as I say. So let's see how it plays out. Now this is a falling knife, right? We're picking up speed here. So there's no guarantee we're going to stop here, right? But what I would imagine is if we do start pulling back down, I think it would be a wick. I think it would be some kind of like boom, like a wick here, something like this, right? Before we get a retrace. So, we can even extend this to here, right there. That could be, a revised zone, if you will. So, you kind of got a little bit of a trend line here. Not really, but, you got something there. The real support is in this zone. So let's see if it holds. And that's pretty much it. I mean, basically, there's another option too, which is that this is like 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to get 4. So I'm expecting either a 4th wave or a bottom, and then a 5th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that would be 3 down, right? 3 up, or 3 up if it's a flat, right? So boom, boom, and then 1, 2, 3. But this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 3 down, 3 up, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. It's an expanded flat here. And that would take us probably down to there. And then from there, I would expect a retrace. So that's basically it. And then, because you could see, right, if this is a head, and this is, if this is a shoulder and this is a head, what do you think's coming next? Even if we're bearish, if we're extremely bearish and we're going to go into a major Bitcoin bear market, then we would get some type of a shoulder here. You would think, right? Maybe it's like something like this, you know, where we have a little bit more to go and then you get the shoulder. And then you kind of fall off a cliff, right? Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully we get at least a three-way move up here, a little bit of a retrace, right? Maybe 3 down, maybe 5 up, and then it kind of plays around and then it kind of pulls down, you know, boom, 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 boom. Kind of like, you know, like not a Bart Simpson head, but it's kind of like, where's my Bitcoin chart? Kind of like over here, where you were just kind of, you see the head and shoulders right there? So it's as if we were right here, guys. Look at this. Actually, you know what? Look at this. Let's look at this on the daily. Clean it up a little bit. Now, if you come back over here and you look closely, we're right here. Right there. So we have boom, boom, boom. Right? So we go back. It's a lot bigger, right? Boom, boom, boom. So we would expect it to do this, right? According to this fractal, right? According to the fractal. And if you, wow, I went way too far back. So if you, actually, you know what? There we go. Why just make it easier? So, you know, you get potentially a pump here, a pull back. You take the top, you come back down without breaking the low. You come back down without breaking the low. You got your base down in here, similar to the base down in here. And then you come up in 3 waves. Remember, 1, 2, 3 waves. You take the top, you get 3 drives to the high. So if that's the case, maybe we get 3 drives to the high and we take the top. You can say, oh, no, we're in a bear market. Well, even this was the bear market back here. You know, even in bear markets, you get counter trend. This is the bear market. This was Bitcoin bull run right here. And then once we got up here, this was the start of the bear market. And it looks very similar to kind of what's going on up here, but it looks a lot bigger. So this could be like this, right? Actually, you know what? Let's take a bars pattern here. And let's see if we can overlay it somewhat. So there you go. You know, you could see, right? You can see this. So we have this move down, come back up, right? And then basically you come up, you take the top, you come up, you take the top, and then you have a big slam down, a retrace, boom, 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 and then a continuation to the downside. So if I just got rid of this real quick, actually, you know what? Let's draw it on here. And the reason I want to draw it is so that we can map it with altcoins like XRP. So this is going to be kind of maybe a little bit exciting. Let's see. But basically, you get a 3-way move up here that takes the top, a big move down, right? A big move down that kind of comes down a little bit lower there. And then another retrace up to here. And then a continuation to the downside. Okay, look at that. So something like that, right? So we don't need this anymore. We can get rid of that. So we can go zoom out now. So that's kind of what it could look like. So you could say, well, how is that going to benefit XRP? Well, if we put XRP on now, and we look at it from this perspective here, right? You could see that we're right here, right? We're right here. So if this is a flat, boom, 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 and it's almost finished. I don't think it is, though. I think, honestly, it's looking a little bit sad for XRP. We'll talk about it. But going back to our hopeful bullish thesis for the ending of XRP's, $8 to $10 target, if we get a rally here that takes the top, everyone's like, oh my God, new all-time highs, blah, 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 blah. Well, that could give us a parabola for XRP. We have 1, 2, 3. We have a flat here for 4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All XRP needs, and it is welcome to go into a bear market, is a 5-wave move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up to $6, $7, $8, $9, $10. Somewhere up there. During this time. Right? So let's say that XRP had 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? And then it pulled all the way back, but XRP gave us a 3-way pullback, and then it came up here for that retrace, but that's when we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it goes into a bear market, and then we go into a bear market. You could say, how is this possible under this situation? Because that's exactly what happened last time. Go back over here. The same fractal, the same spot, the same everything. If we put up XRP, look where XRP exploded. It exploded during the retrace. Right? So let's get rid of that. So remember, for Bitcoin real quick, so XRP exploded like right in here. Well, guess what? That hasn't happened yet. So if we put on XRP, and of course it's gone. Oh, come on. You can see right there, XRP exploded. Let me get the line here. Wow, this is insane. I didn't even... Okay, look at that. Yeah. Look at that. Right there. That's when XRP exploded. Guess what? That's exactly where we are now, according to the potential fractal that we're looking at here, right? If this is a potential fractal. So, you could see we have 1, 2, 3, and then we bottom. And then that's when XRP explodes. And then, but that's when Bitcoin comes up and takes the top. And then we both crash. Okay? So, wow, I just blew my own mind away. Honestly. Wow. So now we look at this right here for Bitcoin, right? And then if Bitcoin gets this 3-wave pullback, the same exact 3-way pullback is right here. This is the same 3-way pullback right there. Boom. Remember, this is a fractal, and we're going to overlay that fractal on top of Bitcoin, which is right here. So we need this 3-way push, right? So if we get this 3-way push that could take the top, that could be enough for something like XRP to go on and set a 5-way parabola. So there you go. So if Bitcoin comes up here and goes up into 3 waves, the same type of fractal, right? That could be enough. Okay, so then it comes back down, and then it goes into another retrace before dropping. This is the same fractal back here in 2021. So during this crash, if we have a 3-way pullback, and then during this pump we have a finish, that would be like the grand slam finale. That would be the best case scenario by far. This is the best case scenario video. Best case scenario for Bitcoin ending. Now, even a better scenario than that is Bitcoin not finished yet, which probably is finished based on how massively it's coming down pretty aggressively. So I think There's a good chance that it is finished. I mean, come on, look. We haven't seen a dump like this. Look at the dump. We haven't seen a dump like this in a long time. So it's on stupid. Yeah, we need to be on log scale here. So you could see this is a pretty big dump, right? So if it's even a better scenario than that, well, then this means that this is a flat, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up, right? And then actually, you know what? I'm going to have to draw it because I can't move the screen on the drawing. So it would be something like, you know, you build a little bit of a base in here, right? And then you go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's over, right? But then guess what happens? Then you get something like this. You get something like this, where the price comes down, and then it goes into distribution, and then so we could get an if this happens, then we could get an alt season up here as Bitcoin's in distribution, the same type of distribution that we got the massive. Remember, XRP and THETA and other coins exploded off nothing after Bitcoin had already topped. So if Bitcoin's already topped, then this is a good environment for alts to go up. But you see the alts are weak right now. They're weak. They're weak. Well, that's because we're in the middle of a crash. We're in the middle of a dump. And we need Bitcoin to chill out and go into a retrace. So let's see if that plays out, right? I mean, we're pulling, you know, last ditch efforts here, really, to extend the cycle, to extend XRPs into price discovery. No matter what, it's going into price discovery. All right, just let's not get that twisted. It will go to price discovery. We will see $8 to $10. There's no question about it. The challenge is, well, when does that happen? Does that happen now after this 3-way pullback and we go into a 5-way parabola and then it's over? Very possible, right? All we need is a big pump up there, right? And it's very, you could just look at the chart, right? We have a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, right? You got the accumulation low. I mean, you got all the points up here, right? Reaccumulation, blast off. You chill out for a while, blast off. You chill out for a while, you go hit the top. If we put Bitcoin up here, look when it hit the top. You could see right there, we had a crash and then we had a retrace. And that's when we had the big pump off the low, is during that crash and the retrace. But you could see we're in a crash now and we're not getting anything. We're actually dumping with the price. So, you know, it's not as easy as it's going to be, right? But I'm just talking about for right now. But eventually we will. So if we don't get this, then most likely, you know, this could come down a little bit more, I would suspect, down to here. And then we could potentially get it. And if that doesn't work, then I would look at it like 3 down. I would look at it 3 up, like this. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom. And then we come down. We create the depression phase. And then we kind of chill out a little bit. And then we go up later on. But if we did that, we're not going to $8 to $10. We're not doing that. We're probably going up to $15 if we do this. If we do this, we're probably going to $15. Because it would have had ample time to correct. It would be a massive flag and then a break. So, you know, it's a big question mark right now, but you know, the only reason I'm not more hyped up is because I don't like the way this looks. I don't like the way it's shaped. I don't like its behavior because it just looks deadly. It looks scary. You know what I mean? You got this bottleneck right here, and then you got another one right there. Boom, 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 boom. Right? So this could lead to a big drop. And if we get a big drop, then it still can qualify as an expanded flat, right? You would have 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and then we come all the way down for 5. But wave 5 can be all the way down. Let's see. Really between $1 and $1.30. Honestly, that's probably where we're going to head to. Is $1.30, between $1 and $1.30, if this is going to be a major expanded flat, which it very well could be because of the shape. So it'd be again 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and that would be 3, 3, and then 5. It'd be an expanded flat, and then we would kind of chill out a little bit, and then we would start going back up into a retrace. Now, two things could happen from there. Either we can flag out and then kind of create that parabola, up to $10. Or it would create another 3-wave move, and then another 3-wave move, and then we go up later on. Which I'm not so sure about that. One thing is for sure, Bitcoin is definitely not... we could see Bitcoin dominance is going down. That is a good thing. Let's see if Bitcoin XRP versus Bitcoin. Let's see what this is doing. Well, this is not... This is the one we need to really keep an eye on, really. Honestly, this is the one we really need to keep an eye on because this is the big story here. I don't like the way it looks, though. I don't like that. It just looks bulimic. It doesn't look finished. It looks like, it looks like we're like right here. Like you had boom, 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 sideways, sideways, finish, then build a base, and then we could go up. So that's kind of what it looks like to me. So, then you say, well, why did you go long? Well, I'm doing like I'm trading the 10, 15, 20 minute chart. So, by the way, let me see. Am I underwater here? Did I get stopped out? Let's take a look here. Let's go to the, where's my other chart at? There we go. 3-minute chart. And no, it's still doing pretty good. Look at that. We're still up here. I think I got it like right at there somewhere in there. So you could see the way it's shaped. See how it comes boom, 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 and then it takes the low here? Well, that's exactly what XRP did on the larger time frames. If I do this, right, and then I flip it upside down, just like this, well, would you look at that? It's the same thing. Look at massive drop, bounce, slightly lower low. Well, would you look at that? Isn't that interesting? And then what happens here, you kind of play around a little bit, and then you get going. Okay, so if I flip it back, and then I go down to the 3-minute chart, well, would you look at this? Look at this. It's the same. It's literally the same thing. You have a massive drop, a little bit of a bounce, and then you slightly take the low. So, interesting. So whatever this does could be a representation of what it does on the bigger time frames, right? So other than that, we can look at Litecoin and Ethereum here. And then we will... Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. On one hand, it kind of looks like maybe a falling wedge. you have a three-way move here, but what I don't like about it is this right there. I don't like how it bottlenecked in there. I want a finishing move, right? Now you could say, well, we did a little bottlenecking in there, right? How you drop down, you bottleneck, you hit the high. So, you know, it's still yet to be seen. But what I can tell you, though, it's still decent price action in here, because if this is a 1, 2, and this is a 3, and this is a 4, again, like I've been saying, it doesn't look finished. It doesn't look finished. We need 5 all the way down for 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we have 3, 3, and 5. And we have a perfect flat. We have a perfect base. We have a perfect hit of the high, hit of the low, hit of the high, hit of the low, which would set us up for a massive breakout, I think, potentially, right? So that's how I'm looking at it. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, three-way pullback. 1, 2, 3. I think there's 5 waves in there. 3, 3, three-way pullback, right? So boom, 3, boom, 3, go. But how does it go when Bitcoin's in a bear market? Well, again, it's going to have to be the retrace for Bitcoin. Now, I think Ethereum has bottomed. I mean, I think it's really, really, really close. I probably should have went long on Ethereum. But you could see, I'm waiting a little bit. I want to see how this zone gets tested in here. But you could see this is a very key level here. And if I go back even further, Ethereum is the same price it was back in this June of 2021. So with all the inflation, with all of the crap, you're telling me it's the same price as 2021? Even worse for XRP, it's the same price it was 8 years ago. Think about that for just a second. XRP is the same price it was 8 years ago. So you don't think this market is rigged and manipulated and controlled? And it is, very much so. The difference is the people who win are the people who don't play games. The people who buy and they hold and they don't get emotionally wrecked and damaged when the price comes down, because they know in their heart, they know they have conviction. That's the number one. The only way you survive crypto is if you have full-hearted conviction in what you hold and where crypto is going. If you believe it is the future, which I do, if you believe XRP, Ripple is one of the greatest blockchain companies in the world, in the United States, then there's nothing to worry about. It's just like buying Amazon in 2001. Remember, it took Amazon 10 years from 1999 to 2009 to really break out. So it's like, you know what I mean? So it's like investing in Amazon back in the day, but we're talking about XRP. But even with Ethereum, you know, Ethereum has had multiple cycles, right? Ethereum has one cycle. It had 2 cycles. XRP has only had 1 cycle. So XRP is basically like right there in terms of where Ethereum is. And what happened when we got there? Well, we just had a little bit of a 5. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that's all we need left out of XRP. But anyways, on to Ethereum now. I can't believe I'm talking about XRP on an Ethereum chart, but it is what it is. Where'd my zone go? Seriously? So I think, you know, obviously we have a lot of support here, right? We broke out, and now we kind of, you could see the velocity, how it's angled, and then it's steeper, and now it's basically straight down, right? And then you have this little area here that we can potentially bounce off of, and then I'm expecting a retrace. That's exactly what I'm expecting. That's exactly what I think is going to play out. I do see somewhat of a diag, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 1, and then we have 3, and then we have 5. So 3, 3, 5. So we're right there. I mean, this would be a very decent spot to dollar cost average. Now, I don't like that, though. I don't like this. I don't like, what the hell is that? You know how you drop in your bottlenecking? It just seems to me that you have to have a big drop in here. So that's why I haven't really bought it yet. I'm kind of just waiting and thinking about it. But, you know, according to the trend, you know, you have a trend line, you're bouncing, boom, 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 boom. I mean, all you're looking for is just another bounce up, which is, you know, who cares? Unless this thing can kind of just finish and drop and really get the hell out of there, you know? So it is Thursday. It is definitely the most volatile day of the week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is the most volatile days of the week. And yeah, we're seeing that definitely from a downside perspective. So let's see how much pressure Trump is going to feel, you know, because, you know, he's a market guy and he doesn't want to see the market completely become unraveled, especially if he's the crypto president. So what the hell are you going to do about it, Trump? What are you going to do about it? Why don't you call on Congress to pass some legislation so that central banks can operate and they can use Ripple? You know, it's kind of one of those things. But again, let's go back to Bitcoin for a second here. So we put on Bitcoin. Remember Bitcoin. Remember the three-wave fractal here. Okay, so if we got that three-wave move off of the low in a retrace, then that could mean two things. Either Ethereum's going to get the retrace, and then Ethereum or Bitcoin comes down, and then it has another retrace, just like the fractal, exactly like the fractal. That could mean Ethereum comes down right here. So if Ethereum comes up, we go up, we come down, we go into a retrace, and then this move down, we go into a retrace, and that leads us to a massive breakout during this retrace. And then we crash, Altcoins only go into a major alt season if Bitcoin's going into new all-time highs, number one, or number two, Bitcoin's in distribution. So those are when you get the alt season. So if Bitcoin is in distribution, then this is alt season territory. And you can say it's not alt season territory. It's completely, well, certain ones, like you're not going to really see it for like something like Filecoin or THETA. You're going to get little pops there and there. But like if you look at, like Monero is super prime for an alt season. You know, we had but the chart needs to fix itself. I think this is like, you had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 waves, right? Anytime you get 7 waves, you know, you're gonna have real problems. So you have 3 down, right? A move up. So we want to see a move back down. We want to see a flat, A, B, C. Create that base, and then we can explode off the low, which could mean, you know, a little bit more pain. I'm sure you got bearish divergence. Look at the bearish divergence there. So it needs to be fixed. So what I would say is we're probably going to be bearish for the rest of the year. You know, for altcoins, I mean, for Monero, I don't know. It's a challenging thing because, you know, you got Q4, which is pretty bullish, but then you look at something like others, like we've been talking about, it just seems to me like it needs to come down. It needs to come down. Give us a major move down. Actually, what does this look like on regular scale? So here's regular scale. And people say, oh, this is the worst cycle ever. Where's the cycle at? There's no cycle. Are you saying this is a cycle? That's not a cycle. Right? I mean, it could be. It could be a cycle. But it's a very weak cycle because it didn't break us out into new all-time highs, right? Look how massive this cycle is in comparison to this cycle. Now, look how small this cycle looks in comparison to this cycle. This is a real cycle. This is a real cycle. This is not. Why? Because look at the size of it. Now look at the size of this. Now let me make this bigger. Now let's go all the way back here. Now look at the size of this son of a bee. I mean, this is a cycle. Look at that. That thing is gnarly. Look how massive that looks, right? And then we came back down. We built a base. We came out. We were bottlenecking, but to the upside. That's different, right? And then we exploded off the low, right? We exploded massively off the low. So, and then we came down, and then we had a retrace. That's it. We didn't have a cycle. We had a retrace. That's as if, you know, this was a very shallow retrace. So, but it's kind of like, you know, just a simple retrace. So let's zoom out a little bit. And basically what I would say here is, you know, this looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, and we need to come down and get C and potentially come down here. And what that's going to do, what this is going to do is give us something like this, where we have our W shape, right? But it's just going to be a bigger W, right? So we zoom out, you know, like the Ethereum model, right? You have the W shape where it's got to come down, hold the low here, and then swoop up. So you have that W shape in there. So that's what I think's playing out. So when someone says, oh, we're going into a bear market, bro, we've been in a bear market this whole time. If anything, we're closer to the end of the bear market than we are to the beginning of the next bear market, right? Wait, what? No, but look, we have probably a little bit more to go down, right? A little bit more to go down. And then we can start getting out of here, right? So, but if that's the case, then that means we're pretty close, right? So we've been in a bear market since 2021. So October 22, October 23, October 24, October 25. That's 4 years. We've been in a bear market for the last 4 years. So XRP has been in a bear market for 8 years, guys, 8 years. So it's possible we could go another 4 years here. You know, that would suck, but it just doesn't really make a lot of sense, because you have a lot of companies who really want to implement blockchain into their corporate agenda, right? Especially banks and things like that. And you have to ask yourself, well, they're not going to just sit on the sideline, right? If this thing is a brand new category, eventually we're going to see some major price discovery and some major, you know, like big Fortune 500 companies born out of the blockchain revolution. We've already seen, you know, the exchanges. Now it's time for, well, how can, you know, Walmart or IBM or Nvidia or any of these, or Ripple or any of these companies can really leverage blockchain and crypto to make it a necessity, not just buying it in hopes that it's going to go up, right? But yeah, anyways, a lot of people are looking at this saying this is bearish. You got a head and shoulders, and you're right, it is very bearish. So I think let's see how, you know, we have support right here. This is support. So let's see if it drills right through support, then we got a three-way move. But if it kind of bounces around and plays around and then it looks like this and it's sad, I would rather it just crush the low and then swoop out, rather than just kind of like get a bounce and then play around and then bounce and then it gets dragged out forever. So we'll see about that. But yeah, look at ICP. Is ICP in a bear market? Bro, it's been in a bear market its entire life. its entire life, it's been in a bear market. Its entire life. So bear market, it doesn't go into a bull market until... So anyways, you could see on XRP on the small time frames, I'm basically right back to my entry here. But you could see what happened, right? We came up, we took the low, and then we came all the way back to support, and then we got this bounce. Okay, so if that's the case and we got a bounce, then when we zoom all the way out, we should get a bounce on the same type of situation here. This is XRP here. So remember, we should come up here, right where we're at now, and what do you think should happen? We should get a bounce, just like what we saw on the 3-minute chart. And if that's the case, we flip it upside down, right? That's a bounce back up to $3, potentially, up there. So let's see. But you know what? The higher time frames trump the smaller time frames. But we do have a lot of support down here. So, but we're basically threading, we're basically at the last point of support here. And it's already weak. You know, the more we hit it, 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 the weaker it gets. So is this the time where we break it? I mean, it's possible. You know, what we don't want to see is it pump right back up, because if it pumps right back up, they're going to short it again. So what we want to see happen here is we want to see it kind of, you know, settle in. So if we look at the daily, we could see some bullish divergence there, but who cares? We want to see a bottom come in yet. So there we go. Is that like a flat? Let's see. Let's flip it upside down here. There we go. Yeah, doesn't that look like XRP on the larger time frames? So where is... There we go. Notice, you take the top, you slam down, and then you get a big pump out of there. So that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting a pump out of here for Bitcoin. You know, so if we get a liquidation, then it's just a cascading problem, right? It's a cascading event where it just completely dissolves on itself. I kind of went long on Bitcoin too. Oh, I like that. That's a good little move right there. Look at that. You slightly took the high, had a little bit of a bounce here, but then you had this little three-way pullback. Let's see if we could get this to get a nice 3 here. But that's pretty much it. I mean, everything else is just going to be like, it's not going to really matter. Like if I talk about THETA or AVAX or ADA, it doesn't really matter. I mean, they're all just, they all need serious help. And that's only going to happen once we see Bitcoin get a bounce. So there's really no sense of even, I mean, for ADA, I think we're really close here for a bounce to come in. You know, you got, looks like 1, 2, 3. It looks like you need 4 and 5. I don't even know if that is 4 and 5. It looks so impulsive, you know. So, but if you take the length of this and come down here, and then you take the length of that, well, look, we're almost there. They call it waves of equal length. So THETA, you know, it's just, we got to wait for this wave to finish, right? So if this is like, you know, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you have 1, 2, 3, you need 4, and you need 5. So, you know, until then, it's really kind of pointless to even entertain it, you know? But yeah, everything's down in the gutter. Crypto has had more red days than it does green days. That's for sure. If you count all the red days versus the green days, it's not even close. So, like, we look at something like XLM, and you could say, well, it's bearish because we had a three-way move up. So someone can say, well, this is a five-way move down and a three-way move up. So now this is 1 and this is 2, and now we're going to get 3, 4, and 5. Well, that would basically destroy the price. It would just completely obliterate it. So I'm more convinced that this is reaccumulation, and I'm more convinced that this is a three-way pullback here, and I don't think it's finished. But when it is finished, and we can find, well, let's look at this right here. Let's put this is probably the most important price zone for XLM, is right there around that 14, between 14 and 18 cents. You could see it was support back then. It was support here. It was resistance, 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 support. So if we could come down and tag into this zone, right? 1, 2, 3, and then A, B, C, 4. Build the little base in there, hold the support. That's going to be what we need to get the price going. And there's your W pattern. There's your cup and handle. So, but yeah, when I look at Ethereum and you know, I see it should be very, very close to getting a bounce off of the low. And when I mean bounce, I mean at least a week or two of bullishness. Something like this, right? If I can find it. Something like that. Something like that. That's what I'm thinking here. Now, could it go bigger? That would be sweet, right? If we could just take the top here. And if we did that, then it would really look like the cycle was over. Or this would be, you know, maybe one more up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So we'll see how it all plays out. But other than that, that's basically it. Nothing really going on here. So let's see. Is there any other coins I haven't looked at? Let's see. Sia coin. Oh, gold and silver. I thought I was supposed to look at that. Sia coin looks bad. I mean, it looks like the triangle thing is out of the, you know, remember we were looking at this like A, B, C, D, E, go. But now to me, it's like A, B, C. No. A, B, and this whole thing is C. You still need D and you still need E. So it's just ridiculous by that at that point, right? I would look at it more like, you know, a three-way move here, a three-way move here. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kind of like a diag down in here. And then plus you're at support. So I don't know. I think this could be a trap. You know, I think it could be a trap. People are piling in short. People are convinced. So we'll see. But ZRX looks like just one big massive head and shoulders. The money supply is going up. The stock market is coming down. You have a massive bullish engulfing candle. Doesn't look too good. It looks like it needs to correct a little bit more. That's probably why crypto is correcting so viciously. So XRP versus Ethereum is coming up a little bit. Look like 5 waves there. Look a little diag. The Russell. I mean, it's a little sketchy because I don't know if that's 3 or if this is 3 and 3 and then 3. Something like that. A flat. And then you have an impulse. And then you're getting an A. Let's get a B and a C. And then we can finish the move. I think. You know, like they say, you know, if the Russell can break out, you know, it'd be a good situation for crypto. But when I look at the dollar, man, the dollar is the scary thing. The dollar is very... Look at the dollar, man. The DXY. You have a massive pump. You have a massive 3-way pullback. You've built a base, and now you're starting to go up. That's not a good thing for crypto. But I'm hoping that we just kind of go up and tag into resistance up here and then continue down. That would be cool. We're rooting against our own currency's demise. So here's the price of silver, which is the largest cup and handle in human history. There's nothing else that even comes close. Not even close. This is a major, what is this, back in 1980. This is like a 45-year cup and handle. Jeez. 45 years? That's fine. 45, that's Trump's number. 45, well, you know, they say silver is the linchpin to the banks. Bix Weir, roadtoruta.com. Look at that. We're starting to break out of the largest cup and handle in history. That's crazy. I got to go count my silver. I honestly have no idea how much silver I have. It's not a lot. It's probably like... I really couldn't tell you. Maybe like a small... You know those Halloween buckets the kids trick or treat with? They're like, it's like a carved out plastic Halloween bucket that the little, you know, like a little 6-year-old would hold to go trick or treating with. Probably like a little bucket like that. Maybe not so full. Yeah, you know, I just stopped buying silver. Or I really started buying it in here, 2018. I have all my receipts too. Anyways, I think silver can get up to easily $80. No problem. No problem at all. I really want to see what this is right here. So if we take a trend-based fib extension from the top down to the bottom, I mean, we should at least get $160. Let me see. Is this on log? Come on. What's it doing? Yeah, it is on log. So that's a problem. Oh, I was way off. Okay. So the minimum we should get is $85. The minimum is $85. So we're going up. This is going to break out. We're going to 85. Okay. And then the next would be, you know, 130 up to maybe even $150. I would imagine between 85 and 100 would be your first target. One. From that 120, 130, 150 area would be target 2, and then 170 to 200 would be target 3. So however you want to quantify that. Now, if we did this, where let me zoom out to even more, the 3-month chart, and I brought this all the way down here, and then I took this down here, you know, it's actually the same thing, honestly, because it's on log scale. That's why. All right, so if we take a regular Fibonacci, yeah, you're looking at like, you know, $80 to $100, maybe even up to $200. All my levels aren't there quite. Let's see, settings, and we're gonna add that one and that one and that one. That's good enough. Okay, we're good. So yeah, silver's just getting started, dude. Silver's just getting started. This is a wave 1, this is a wave 2, and we're in the middle of wave 3, and I think wave 3 could go significantly higher. Let's see where wave 3 will stop out. Usually between the 1618 and the 2618 of the extension of wave 1 and wave 2. So oh, look at that. We basically hit the 1618 right on the dot. Look at that. We hit the 1618, like literally perfectly. So I don't know if it's finished, though. I don't think it is. I would think this is 1, 2, 3. Maybe we get 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to the 2618. I think the third wave could stop at $65. I think around $60, $65 would be the spot. And then you get a wave 4, and then you go up and hit a wave 5, which could be, you know, somewhere. Hey, if silver hits $100, I'd be stoked. I would be happy. Because then I would have, you know, my average price for silver was like $20 an ounce, I think. Let's see, what was it? No, it was less. Well, with all the taxes and with the premiums, the markups, you know, I was paying like $16, $17, $18, but I was really paying like $20 because of all the bullshit they had on it. Which is just, you know, they got to make money, right? They're a business. So if you really wanted to get crazy, then we could look at this on log scale. Like if the world was collapsing and people were capitulating into silver, then we can literally see, we could see $261 silver up to, you know, who knows, maybe $600 silver. $600 silver came from, I think, this right here. If you take this cup right here and put it right there, it's not quite, but about $480. That's pretty significant, you know, to tell you the truth. So anyways, gold looks insane to me. I don't know, man. I probably wouldn't own gold. Just the way it just looks too, like, I missed it. You know what I mean? Like, I look at it and I go, oh, I missed it. You know? It's just too much. It's just way too much. Look at this. You know, now I know where Peter Schiff is coming from. When you look at Bitcoin, when you look at gold, just relative to where Bitcoin was, you know, gold really hasn't had a chance to show what it's really made out of. You know? So, wow, major move. Let's look at it from here to there to there. Okay, so look at that. We hit the 1618 perfectly. Look at that. Oh, no. We hit the 2. We hit the 2. So this thing could be just about finished. At least for a pullback here. Let's go back. Let's go down to the 8-day. Get rid of that. I'm going to cross the hour mark. Yeah, I think it still could have some legs to it. So, anyways, guys, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Yeah, let's see how it plays out. You know, let's see how it all plays out. You just got to have conviction. You can't worry about the bear market narrative. You can't be in fear. The best thing I do is just I keep buying. I put my blinders up, and you just got to stay focused. So I will catch you on the next one. Cheers.